first of all, I've got to ask you, have you been approached about moving away from your rematch with Usyk to allow Tyson Fury to fight him? Have you been approached?
I think people know not to approach me with that rubbish. I think people know not to approach me with that bullshit.
So that has not come your way at all?
I think it may have come to my team, but I think they'll know not to bring that to me at the minute.
There's something that you would never consider for no amount of money.
I think listen, let me be real with you, yeah? At this stage of my career, it ain't about the money. It's about the respect. You got to look at what I want out of this game. Number one is respect. You ain't got to like me, but you will respect me. Second thing is to go down as a throwback fighter, someone who was willing to fight the best in their division. So when I walk the streets with my son, my cousins, my nephews, people know that I was a true fighter. So that's like the second thing I want to go down as, and that's why I still, till this day, will fight anybody, because I think that will be part of my legacy. The best resume, the best heavyweight champion, 3-time heavyweight champion, like all that stuff, like that's a throwback fighter. So they're the two things I want. And in terms of step aside, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if that goes in line with what I morally stand for. But let me be real with you, I want to be known as one of the smartest businessmen as well, because in boxing, we all know, and one of the things, when you started this IFL, and there's something that you probably said to yourself when you started, which resonates with you today, like when I start, I really want to get to 5 million subs. So you kind of chase that. So with me, I used to watch the likes of Tyson, Holyfield, Bo, and like, you know, we all know the stories of even NFL players, basketball players. We make some bad decisions. So I wanted to make sure that I made the smart moves when it comes to this business. So for me, if the money's right, we have to look at it. You know what I'm trying to say? We have to look at it.
So you're not ruling it out?
But respect, for me, has a lot more value than just money. So yeah, that's why, as I said, it's about respect first. It's about what I'm known for when I leave this heavyweight division. And the third thing is like the smartest businessman. I made the smartest decisions in my career.
What's good, family? So smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So we just heard there from your mans, Anthony Mandela Gandhi Joshua, aka the #1 United Nations peacekeeper. Yeah, the Israeli-Palestinian peace envoy, Mr. Anthony Johnson. So, what has Mr. Anthony Johnson actually said in this video? Well, I hate to break it to you, but for years, in fact, even to this day, me and many other people have exposed and ridden the fact that John Fury and Tyson Fury say one thing, and 20 seconds later, without fail, they'd say exactly the opposite. And I hate to say this, but once again, it seems to be in the last year or so, or the last few years, everything ends up ending up no good. Everywhere you look in Mr. Anthony Johnson's situation, it goes from bad to worse, in my opinion. There's just no dubs anywhere to be found. We can't even get a consistent message. And for me, this shows you the people that are around him. Yeah, because guess what? If I was around him, there wouldn't be no real estate, there wouldn't be no triangles, there wouldn't be no funny style, looking us, whatever. None of that rubbish. It'd be straight on this thing. Yeah, pick a direction. I haven't got no problem with step aside. I actually think, as a business move, and not even in fact, scrap that. I think as a strategic move, it makes sense. In as much as, if you need to make changes, I've always said this, it's better to get it right than rush. It's almost like AJ's fallen in love with this principle of being a throwback fighter for being a throwback fighter's sake, if that makes sense. In as much as he doesn't really want to get the best out of himself. He's just trying to prove a point. Oh, I'm a throwback fighter because I accept fights and lose them all. That's not a throwback fighter. A throwback fighter is, yes, accepting challenges, but you got to do the business. Just turning up. Kevin Johnson for everyone. and lost to them all. Yeah, he's not a throwback fighter. Turning up to getting whooped by Vitaly, Vladimir, and yourself, that don't make you a throwback. That just makes you the dude who everyone had to go on quick. And that's the way you're going. You're going to end up being known as the man who anyone had to go on you. And you was that guy. You're going to end up being the new version of Kevin Johnson. Think about it. If Tyson Fury ends up having a go on AJ as well, and Wilder, let's say for example, yeah, Wilder catches AJ, Dillian White catches AJ, Tyson Fury catches AJ, you'll be known as the new Kevin Johnson, the guy who turned up and could never get done on top level. Because I'm not sorry, yeah, but all these wins against Pulev and Povetkin, they don't count, and I've been saying that. Yeah, they don't count. Because they wouldn't hold up in any other era, in my opinion. Pulev would not hold up in any other era. He'd be food. I told you before. In my opinion, Mitch Blood Green, who was a pretty standard dude, would run through Pulev and would run through Povetkin. It'd be as simple as that. Yeah? Because we saw what happened with Mike. Mike couldn't do nothing with him, to be quite frank. For example. That just shows you that... And Mitch Blood Green didn't have no special skills, but what he had is a heart, big heart, and he wanted to get it. He was able to get stuck in. But anyway, where was I? Listen, the point is, people, like I was saying, I ain't got no problem with you making strategic decisions, i.e., okay, I've got a new trainer, I'm setting up a new training team, and this step-aside situation makes sense. It gives me more time, it means I can have a warm-up fight. And when I say warm-up fight, I don't mean a complete scrub, I mean someone like, I don't know, let's think of a name. Who would be a great... I mean, really, to be honest, I don't think the Andy Ruiz fight would be bad, the third one of that, to prove a point. Because I don't really rate... I mean, look what Areola did to Andy Ruiz, yeah? So if AJ has any hope here of coming back and dominating Tyson Fury and dominating Usyk, you best be able to dominate Andy Ruiz, in my opinion. Because guess what? Areola, 40-year-old, no power, no speed, was never all that. Areola put him down and bullied him in there. Showed no respect to him. So if you've really proven, that's what I'm thinking. Because if you can get stuck in on Ruiz, if you can prove to yourself and your skills that you can go in there and dispatch of Ruiz or mush him like you mushed Dominic Brazil, that sets pace for the Usyk fight. That sets pace for the Fury fight. If you can't do that, then you ain't going to beat them anyway, like that, are you? That's what I'm thinking in my mind. But maybe not even the Ruiz fight. Who else is there? But the point is, someone like that, someone where you've got to win over them, you know what you're kind of going into, etc., etc. I don't think that's a bad idea. What is a bad idea is doing what you're doing right now. You are, like I said, flip-flopping, fence-sitting, half of one, six of the other. Yeah? Half a dozen of one, six, whatever that saying is there. That's what you're doing. Well, I'm a throwback fighter. I told my team, don't bring me nothing to do with a step aside. Well, you never know. It could be a big deal, and if it's a good deal, I gotta look at the good deal, because I want to be known as a businessman. AJ, who are you? Yeah? I can't lie to you. I do think he's been cloned. I'm sorry. That's what I think. Because either, in fact, that's not even true. I was about to say, either he's been cloned, or Andy Ruiz knocked something out of his head. But that's not true, because he wasn't right going into the Ruiz fight. He was nervous. Before he got hit in the Ruiz fight, he was nervous. So I'm not sure what it is. But what I do know is this behaviour we're seeing now is consistent with what I've been calling out for the last 3 years. If that makes sense. For the last 3 years, I've seen things that predicted what was going to happen in terms of his devolution under Rob McCracken, in his mentality and his skills, etc., etc. And I'm afraid to say, I'm still seeing it. In fact, I think they're getting worse. He's getting more uncertain. Before, he wasn't talking about real estate and AP watches and triangles. So it's getting more funny style, which makes sense, because as you get further away from who you are. For me, it's a bit like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson had a much more unstable foundation. So he ended up going completely off the deep end with narcotics and whatever else. AJ's not going to be that guy. But for me, this is almost like a parallel situation. AJ comes from a much more stable background, so he's not going to go down off the deep end like Mike did. But it's the same principle. It's like when you haven't got that, who are you? When you're going in there knocking people over, it's easier to be certain. It's easier to be alpha. But when that's been, when you haven't got that anymore, when you've kind of almost lost that identity, people end up, especially in 2021, they end up clinging to the periphery social media things. They talk about wealth. They talk about their investments. I mean, even look at Floyd. Floyd didn't lose, but look when he left boxing. What's he always do? Oh yeah, I got investments. And when you haven't got that sense of identity anymore, you cling on to the things that are perceived to be popular, or perceived to be popping in the culture, if that makes sense. The difference is, you're active in your career. So if you want to be worried about real estate and business and whatnot, retire. I've been said this. You should be focused right now. Not about real estate, not about triangles. And again, people say things like, well, YB, he's a human and of course he's got to be involved in business. That's not the point. The point is, the way it comes across, it's just sketchy. It's wishy-washy, especially when you compare it to the old days. For example, for the first 5 years of AJ's career, I never heard anything about real estate. I never heard anything about real estate, nothing about investments, none of that crap did we hear about. Yeah, it was all about business, which makes sense, as in, it's all about the fight game. Now, when the fight game ain't going so well, and the identity is kind of damaged, that's the time you need to double down on them aspects. You don't run to the next shiny thing. Oh well, boxing's not going great, so let's talk about real estate instead, because everyone knows I'm rich. That's what it feels like to me. Oh well, I can't talk about my great career, how great my career's going, and how ferocious I am, because I'm not ferocious anymore. So let me talk about how much money and how shiny my watch is. It's bad. It's a bad look, I'm sorry. And who are the people around you? When you look at how people, or societies in general, when people start clinging to shiny things, that's the downbad.com. There's no substance in that. Yeah, you get all the social media yuppies who love it. Oh wow, you got a shiny watch and I need to buy your investment book and tell me about real estate, AJ. But really, the real people know who with IQ know you're going through it right now. And what worries me is there don't seem to be no one who really understands what's going on here. You don't have no direction. You don't have a general who leading you into battle, I don't believe. I mean, where's Rob? Well, we know where Rob is. AJ already exposed it. Your general is off somewhere else with the amateur team at your time in need. I'm sorry, yeah, but looking at how AJ's career has evolved, yeah, he's only got 6 months. He needs 6 months of pure dedication. And even that, by the way, people, there's no guarantee, even if he had, for example, Shane McGuigan for 6 months, there's no guarantee that that's still not 100% probability, because 6 months for someone this deep into their career isn't a lot of time to change all them bad habits, for example, and spin around the mentality. But guess what? Rob ain't even there. Rob ain't even trying to be there. He's just going to pop up for the last 4 weeks training camp and cash his check in. And what gets me is, again, it's AJ's attitude. What happened when people came to him and offered their help? He said, oh well, don't expect a full cut. I want to be loosey-goosey. I want to make sure that Rob, if Rob wants a job, he can have it still. What? It's mad. So that's why I don't, emotionally speaking, I'm not connected anymore, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not sitting there wishing and hoping, because I just think it's over. Yeah? AJ can't pull the trigger in as much as, tell a lie, he can't pull the trigger anywhere. He can't pull the trigger in the ring. He can't pull the trigger with all the bums he's got hanging around him, all the incompetency. Rob's incompetent, Fernando Alonso is incompetent, and I'm afraid to say, yeah, at this level, for example, if you're a CEO of a company, yeah, and you make one critical mistake, you're gone most of the time. You're gone. But in this game, you can make mistake after mistake after mistake. For example, the June thing. June 2019, AJ concussed going into the fight. McCracken didn't pull it. There's mistake number one. That should have been fireable. The whole devolution ever since, that should be fireable. Cheerleading in the corner. And I have to give Terence Crawford's team credit, because guess what? Terence Crawford's team, when the fight was pretty close, they didn't gas him. And I give Floyd Mayweather credit. When Tank Davis and Terence Crawford were in relatively close fights, their team told them, listen, you might not be feeling it. Or Floyd Mayweather came out and said, you're blatantly losing. And that's the best way to do things. It's better to err on the side of caution. But guess what? People can only do that, number one, when they know what they're doing. Number two, bottom line, when they know what they're doing, and they're not cheerleaders. When you're a cheerleader, you end up like Tunde Ajayi, just gassing Anthony Yarde up. That for me, that Arthur fight, he should have been told, you're losing. Yeah? Because if it's close, I mean, unless you're dominating, for example, how Yarde won that last round. If Yarde was fighting that whole fight like he fought the last round, I'd understand why Tunde was saying, yeah, no problem. But it wasn't like that. He was fanning around on the outside for the whole 11 rounds. If you're in a fight and you're not clear, and the worst thing is, these people are supposed to be able to read boxing. So I don't understand why you see this all the time. Trainers focus on what their fighter's doing. And they think, well, yeah, and they're always optimistic. Well, look, yeah, he's doing great. What you want to be doing is looking at what the other fighter's doing well, and taking things from a worst case point of view. What's the point taking it from a best case point of view? Well, the best case is I'm up 7-5. Well, what good's that? Oops, you lost on the points. AJ situation. What was the benefit of being in there with a man half your size and going 50-50? Because I don't know what they was watching. Seriously, there was no domination in there. I think it was a 6th or 7th round. AJ threw a few uppercuts to the body. Apart from that, the whole 12 rounds was 50-50 at best. And your cheerleaders are yelling great. But I'm thinking to myself, AJ, what does it say about your mentality that you're not questioning this? How are you not questioning? Wait there a minute. These goofies were cheering me on. And the thing is, look how AJ went back to the corner. He was shocked. He couldn't believe it. His eyes was popping out of his head. He thought he got robbed. That's how much they'd gassed him in the corner. Yeah? They'd gassed the life out of him. And I agree that fighters do need to take responsibility for their actions, but unfortunately, these trainers haven't got no integrity. Yeah, these Fernando Alonso and Rob McCracken aren't going to say, AJ, you know what, I messed up. Let me remove myself from the situation. Or, you know what I'm saying, one of them ones. They ain't going to do that. They're going to stay collecting the bag. But I'm questioning, why is Anthony Johnson doubling down with these same goofies? And that's why I can't back this. I'm not supporting it at all. And I think he deserves to lose with his current team. And I think he's going to go in there and try and outbox him anyway. Because I just don't think they've got it in them. I don't think Rob McCracken and Fernando Alonso have got it in them to train someone to get stuck in. They haven't got it. Yeah? And to be honest with you, the fact that AJ's doubling down with his team tells me that he don't really want to do it either. Yeah, he enjoys being sold the dream. He enjoys waking up and being told by Fernando Alonso, no, there's a better way. I've got this system from the 80s, and I've got this triangle system where we can go in there and you won't take no damage, and we can fanny around, and you can use your IQ, and we can be like Floyd Mayweather and Eric Clapton, Jobber Clayton, Jobber has got this system where from the 80s, and we can go in there and do this thing from the 70s, and that's what he wants to hear. He don't want to be told, you're going to have to walk through the fire tonight. Yeah? He don't want the YB in there on his neck 24/7. That's what he don't want. Yeah? He wants to be whispered sweet nothings in his ear by some next fruity dude. Yeah? He don't want the cold reality of life. And I think a lot of these fighters don't. Because it don't add up for me. The things don't add up. And in a way, I do have to give respect to Anthony Yarde, because Yarde, in fact, tell a lie. To be fair, Yarde It took Yard a little while as well. 'Cause Yard had the Kovalev problem, and then he had the Arthur problem. But at least he kind of he hasn't really fixed it because Tunde's still hanging around. But listen, the point is, and I guess, well, I don't know what to say. People need to play their roles, yeah? And there's nothing wrong. If you want to have these, if you like Rob, if you like these guys as people, have them as bottle holders, have them as bag holders. But they're not generals. They're not. A general knows when their soldiers and their athletes need a boost. But they don't gas their people up. They tell their soldiers, yeah, half of you man probably ain't gonna make it tonight. You gotta be realistic here. You don't sing a ring of roses. You gotta live in reality. Otherwise, you end up coming out in the first round against a cruiserweight, getting popped in the mouth and thinking, oops, I wasn't prepared for this because Fernando Alonso and Rob McCracken have told me that I was going to go in there and do all this high IQ stuff and not get hit all night. Because I've got IQ, because I've watched a few YouTube videos with Floyd Mayweather in. That's what he thought. You can tell. Look at his reaction after the first round. He was shocked. He couldn't believe it. He thought, wait there a minute. Fernando told me that he got a system from the 80s. What happened to that? Oops. I'd have told him, listen, truth is, you're going to get hit tonight. Yeah? But what we're going to do is, every time we get hit, we're hitting him back twice. How about that? And guess what? Usyk would have been out of there. I keep saying this, but the thing is, what gets me is, with all that funny style training, with all that high IQ training, you still got your eye bust. You still got touched everywhere. So why is it you can't go in there and say, okay, I'm going to get touched anyway, even with Rob McCracken, even with Fernando Alonso, I'm getting touched. So why don't I get touched and then touch him back every time? Make it a rule. Every time he touches me, in fact, this is a pretty standard concept. Catch and counter is a concept. And the worst thing is, Usyk actually used these principles despite not having the attributes to back it up. For example, what you notice is every time AJ tried to attack, Usyk came straight back. That there, I'm not sure what it's called, but that there is a principle in especially in boxing. It's a principle in warfare. Because it turns the other guy off. And look what happened. AJ, he didn't want to be offensive no more. He got shut down by a dude half his size. He should have been the one doubling down and saying, listen, every time he comes at me, I'm going at him. But guess what? When you ain't being trained, and when you got this funny style attitude, that's where you end up. You end up as a bottom. You end up not taking no dubs. Not even a bit of a dub are you taking. Yeah? But anyway, listen. The bottom line is, people, I know I've rambled and raved about, I know it always goes back to the trainer, but it's true, I'm sorry. Like, when you listen to the greats, yeah, listen to all the great fighters, Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson and all them ones there. They all talk about the influence their trainers have over them. It really is like a general. There's a reason. There's a reason people who are in armies can literally be led to their death. Yeah? And the thing is, boxers, we ain't asking you to be led to your death. We're asking you to be led to a $20 million, $50 million payday. And that's why I've got no sympathy. You've got a $50 million rainbow at the end. Meanwhile, you've got soldiers earning 30 grand a year, at best, getting their head and legs blown off. Yeah? So if they can do that, you can go in there and get stuck in. Bottom line, I've got no sympathy whatsoever. No sympathy. I don't want to hear about, well, you know, it's a risky game because you're getting well compensated for it. Because a lot of people take a lot more risk for a lot less. So I've got no sympathy. I'm sick of hearing about boxers, this, that, the other. Because no one asked you to sign up. Yeah? And it's not like you're doing a noble thing. Yeah, you're collecting cash. Simple as that. So anyway, I mean, again, I've gone around all around the houses here, but the bottom line is, people, he ain't changing teams, and therefore He ain't got no plan. He doesn't need more time. Step aside would only be a pure business transaction, i.e., okay, I'm leaving the Usyk fight so I can get paid for the step aside and then fight the winner. But you best believe, people, all that does really is delay the inevitable. In as much as it just means you're going to lose to someone else potentially. Whether you lose to Usyk or whether you lose to Fury, that's the decision here. And I think, and that's what's sad about it, Eddie Hearn himself has even been kind of begging the question. Eddie Hearn said, we haven't received any offers, but, if we did receive an offer, basically begging Bob Arum to send an offer through. We haven't got any offers yet, but if we did receive it, but Bob, if you were to send an offer on Monday morning by 9 o'clock, I'm sure we'd look at it if it was juicy. Eddie Hearn was begging to be sent an offer. Because what they're thinking is that, wait there a minute, if we lose to Usyk and get paid 30 million, that don't make no sense. We're better off losing to Fury and getting paid 50, 60 million. And the fact that that's kind of entered AJ's mind, it isn't surprising. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, because it's interesting. My dad even said that, there's no way he takes the Usyk fight. And I said, nah, not AJ. He 100% gonna be taking the Usyk fight. And now it's kind of, I know it's not guaranteed he's not gonna take it, but this is how these things always start. And it's mad for me. It's disappointing that this is even in the realm of possibility. For example, with the Ruiz loss, and this shows you, people keep saying, YB, what do you mean about the devolution under Rob McCrappen's leadership? This is it, people. Let me give you another example. Yeah? After the Ruiz loss, when Andy Ruiz wanted to fight Deontay Wilder, what happened there? Literally, AJ didn't even comment on it. Eddie Hearn had him in court within a week, because Andy Ruiz was trying to make the Wilder fight. Now, Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder were going to pay step aside too, but the question didn't even get asked. It wasn't even I don't even remember people asking Eddie Hearn, Eddie, what about there was no question. And this shows you the devolution of the psychology, because his mind is weak. His leadership is weak. His generals, he ain't got no generals. He's got Muppets. Yeah? Got Muppets. Softening his mind up. Your mind's got to be strong. Yeah? Totally ferocious. In the ring and out. You hear that? In the ring and out. Not... You ain't got no strength nowhere. Not in the ring, not out the ring. You sound soft and floppy. Talk about real estate. Talk about business. My question to you is, AJ, ask yourself, why were you not talking about business back in the Ruiz days? Oops. Because your mind wasn't as weak as it is now. Now the thoughts enter in your mind, and before you know it, like I said before you know it, you're going to be Kevin Johnson. Just turning up and rolling over. And just standing there covered up. That's how these things happen, people. It takes time. If you can't see, you're blind and you're a shill. And I'm trying to help. Because what you need to do is, told you before, what you need to do is, no win, no fee. The DM's in the description. It's as simple as that. Because I'll tell you what ain't going to happen. You ain't going to be no worse with the YB in your camp than these goofies you got there. You're having a laugh. I guarantee that. Like I said before, no win, no fee. AJ, is Rob McCrappen working no win, no fee? Oops. Is Fernando Alonso, Mr. Driving the Ferrari on the Snapchat? I swear down, you man are zesty. Yeah? I was saying to someone the other day, if I was leading your camp here, if I was a key figure in your camp, and we performed in front of the people like you performed a few months ago against Usyk, there wouldn't be no Snapchats of me in Dubai, driving a Ferrari, having a whale of a time. I'd feel embarrassed. What are we celebrating? What are we laughing about? Yeah? You got shit to do. Yeah? Your mind's too soft to be having fun. You've been having way too much fun. You've been having way too much Ferrari, by the sound of things. But again, you don't know what you don't know, and you're in the thick of it. And I do think there's something deeper going on here. I'm not sure if AJ's having an identity crisis. I won't be surprised if in 10 years from now we hear about a kind of Kelly Maloney kind of situation. Seriously, because something ain't right here for me. Things aren't lining up. When I watched the videos of the guy from 2015, that man was how you'd expect things to be. This dude now, zesty. All I see is zest. All I see is Kelly Maloney. That's it. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it right now. Kelly Maloney. Yeah? Or something like that. So 100% either you've been cloned or you've been Kelly Maloney'd. What's the other one called? Not Rob Kardashian, the other one. What's the other one called? Oh, the marathon runner, yeah? You're marathon runner Kardashian. It's not Kim, not Rob. Got the guy's name, but that one there, the one that ran the marathon. That's what you'd be looking like. Kelly Maloney and that other one. 100%. Yeah, and AJ fans are going to be mad hearing this, but show me what parts of this don't smell like Kelly Maloney right now. Yeah? Because there's way too much zest for me about I'm in Dubai and I'm driving Ferrari. You got all the time in the world to drive Ferrari 5 years from now when your career's done. And I'm just thinking to myself, at this point in time, at this point in time, after all the things that happened, is it appropriate for the man who was cheerleading you to be laughing and driving a Ferrari on Snapchat? I just don't think it's appropriate myself as a general. If I'm leading someone into battle, I don't want that kind of relationship. Personally, yeah, let's get the business done. I don't remember seeing Cuss driving around with Mike in, you know what I'm saying, in or even Kevin Rooney. I don't remember seeing. I know media's different now, but still, I bet you any money Teddy Atlas and Kevin Rooney and Cuss wouldn't be seen dead in a Ferrari with Mike, all laughing and giggling. I know things have changed because I criticised, and to be honest, I still stand by this criticism. I criticised Sugar Hill for partying and dancing. I just don't like the look of it myself. I think once your career's finished, if you want to let your hair down, so be it. But when we're going into battle, there's a reason for centuries. Generals have said, you don't be fraternising with the troops. You need to maintain that discipline. Otherwise, when you end up in the middle of battle, that's why your man Anthony Johnson don't listen to no instructions. He do his own thing. He ain't got no discipline. He ain't got no structure. And that's why, in fact, a great example of someone who does have structure, look at Usyk. He's structured. Usyk, Usyk found himself, in my opinion, almost in a Spartan situation. He didn't have any attributes, in my opinion. But he went out there, because of his discipline, because of his tutelage, his trainer told him, and I exposed this before the fight. I told you I was hearing Usyk going to come out and pop him in the mouth and give him flashbacks from Ruiz. And everyone was laughing, oh, YB, you ain't got no sources. Oops. And what happened? Usyk comes straight out, popped him, right in his mouth for him. That there's discipline. That there is being able to do things that don't make no sense. That there for me is almost, I know it's not the equivalent, but that there's almost, is going over the, what do they call it, the trenches. Yeah? That there is the equivalent of going over the trenches. Because who really wants to run up to a big man and punch him in the mouth first? No one does want to do that. No one wants to go over the trenches first. Usyk, disciplined. And guess what? You don't see... Show me a video of... Is it Vasily? Show me a video of Vasily all in the video, all on the Ferrari laughing, and you just don't see it. Yeah? Show me it. Where the video at? Where the video of Vasily... I think that's his, I'm not sure what his name, but whatever his name, Vitaly. No, it's Vitaly. I'm not sure. Either way, that Don there, the one Lomachenko's dad. Yeah, show me a video of that man all laughing and giggling, especially after a loss. When Lomachenko lost here to Teofimo, show me a video of them all giggling and laughing, having a whale at the time in the Lambo or the Ferrari. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So I'm not sure what these guys have got over you. Yeah. I think personally maybe some Kelly Maloney things happened and they've got your pictures and that's what I think happened and they got you like that. Because it don't make no sense to me. I think Rob's got you. That's what I think. He caught you slipping one day. I think Rob came back to the Olympic the Olympic, what do they call it? I think Rob one day came back to the Olympic dorms and saw AJ on his Kelly Maloney, and he got the snaps and said, "Listen, you got right now, yeah, got the pictures, and you're gonna be doing what I say from now on." That's what I think happened, because the thing don't make no sense to me, yeah. And I think Fernando Alonso somewhere down the line, he involved in it too, yeah. He got the snaps, no doubt. But anyway, before I go, I'll just say that at this point in time, it don't matter what he does. It don't matter if he takes... Before, yeah, I'd have sat here and said, oh, but if he takes this and if he takes that, and he's got this... He hasn't made no changes. Yeah? He hasn't made no changes. So whether he takes step aside, it doesn't change the outcome. He's going to lose to Usyk most likely, and he's going to lose to Fury. And that's the thing for me. Even if he does win, it ain't going to be how I want him to win. Even if he goes in there and fannies around some magical how... It's not going to be how I want him to win. I want him to go in there totally ferocious. I just don't get that vibe. Yeah, he says some sound bites sometimes. Oh, I'm looking for war. But even then it was full of zest. Talking about people from the 80s. Oh, man, I'm like Rafael Edmonds. That's weird. Never heard anything like that come out of his mouth before. Like some people, for example, have a fascination with that kind of culture. Fair enough. But I've never heard in 10 years AJ talk about Rafael Edmonds. But all of a sudden now, when his identity is in crisis, that's what I said about earlier. About people go to pop culture when they haven't got no substance in their own identity. They cling on to them elements. Yeah? That's what they do. Happens all the time. And it's a shame that AJ and the people around him don't give him no substance. Do you know what I'm saying? He ain't got no... It's the bottom line. He ain't got no one who fills him with substance. You should feel it within yourself. You shouldn't need to say, I'm like Rafael Edmonds. You should be saying, I'm like Anthony Johnson. Yeah? I'm going in there totally ferocious. My mind's too strong. I'm too big, too strong. I'm 240. That's what. If I was training AJ right now, he'd be on video telling you, man. Listen, I don't know about no Rafael Edmonds. I don't know about no Big Meech. My name Anthony Johnson. I'm 240 pound. I'm built like a brick shit house. Yeah, and I'm coming forward. Usyk, you're 2 foot tall, and you're too skinny. You're too light in the back. Yeah. I got caught slipping. I had a crap team, Rob McCrappen and Fernando Alonso. Yeah. I got lawsuits pending because you two men are getting sued. That's what I'll be on. Yeah. If I was in the camp, we're suing Rob and we're suing Fernando. Just on principle. Yeah. Just to annoy them because we got money to burn. That's what I'll be. That's the kind of mentality I'll be on. Rob, you're getting sued. Fernando, you're getting sued. Jobber, you're getting sued. Any more bums in my camp? If you don't get out of the camp, you're getting sued. Oops. Because we got money to burn. Yeah. We're gonna stay winning. How about that? No Rafael, no Big Meech, Mr. Anthony Johnson. And Usyk, we're coming for you bad. I want you bad. Yeah? Can't stop thinking about you. You're too light in the back. You got lucky because I had a goofy team. Now that I be in the camp, you in bad trouble. Listen, you in bad trouble. You best be injured right now. You best find an injury like Lomachenko did for the Teofimo fight. You best listen, Usyk. You best make up an injury right now.